Hey everyone, it is Thursday, October 21st. The time is 1:32 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 16 degrees Celsius. I'm here at Sheppard-West Station, formerly known as Downsview Station, and it opened up back in 2016 and at the time was the northern terminus to the western portion of Line 1. And it was renamed Sheppard-West in 2017. It's always slightly annoying when you get stuck behind someone on a narrow escalator, no fault of theirs. I'm more of a fan of keeping the old legs moving. And outside it's a bit of a crappy day, so I thought, let's go for a walk along a somewhat crappy road. I'll be heading out of the station and popping up on the north side of Sheppard Avenue West. And from there I'll be walking east along Shepparrd. And I'll be heading past Bathurst. And if the rain stays away, I'll head all the way over to Yonge Street. And I think that will be about 4.5 kilometers in total. And maybe we can get a peek down at the train platforms here. So that would be a southbound train that just pulled into the station. The northern extension that opened up in 2017 takes it north up to the city of Vaughan. And I came out this way about 5 months ago to record what would be the same walk, but I was greeted by some heavy rain. So instead, I just decided to do a tour of this subway station. And there's a look to the west. Sheppard Avenue terminates to the west, I think, at Easton Road. And to the east, it'll take you all the way to Pickering. And that there is the Allen Road heading north. And that turns into a continuation of Dufferin Street. And there's a look at the station formerly known as Downsview. I do have my umbrella with me. It was actually raining when I left the home. But fortunately, it's held off. Psychic readings, $10. I took some flack on a night walk I did through Little Jamaica when I saw a place offering psychic readings for $5. I think I made one of my typical smart-ass comments regarding that. I'll refrain from doing that, but I think you know how I feel about those places. I'll just stay on this part here. There's a guy over there on the sidewalk. And you might notice it's a bit of a soulless pedestrian experience already. And this is pretty much the case for the entirety of Sheppard Avenue. I have done a live stream along here before. I think I did that about 2 or 3 months ago. And there is a Toronto Buddhist temple. Right next to what looks like a very basic fire hall. Downtown, there's a lot of really old, sort of grand-looking, beautiful fire halls. That one just looks kind of like a tin can. I guess it's fitting, considering where we are. Not much thought has gone into the design and streetscape in this area. And if you can't tell, I'm not a particularly a large fan of this kind of street. I don't often cover these roads on the channel. I'll save them for the other channels or for my cycling and e-bike videos. And here's the Royal Canadian Legion. And despite this being a major east-west node across the northern end of the city, we're not likely to see too many, if any at all, cyclists riding by. And I think you could safely classify Sheppard Avenue here as what could be referred to as a Stroad. And a Stroad is a street that's a cross between a road and a street. So it's defined as part street, which is really a complex environment where a lot of life in the city happens. You have buildings that offer better accessibility and often line the street. You have pedestrians and cyclists and cars all kind of happily coexisting in a more slower moving environment. The road is narrower, whereas a road is a higher speed roadway than a street, typically with wider lanes and far fewer entrances and exits. It's really more about connecting faraway places to one another. And a Stroad sort of is the worst of both worlds. And I think that's exactly what we have here on Sheppard Avenue West and Sheppard Avenue East. Although at least it's got some nice artwork. That cannabis retailer has done a good job to spruce up the neighborhood. Speaking of which, the neighborhood on the north side of Sheppard here is Bathurst Manor. And I think on the south side is Clanton Park. And I'm currently walking east along the north side of Sheppard. And this here is Wilson Heights. As for transit options on Sheppard, it's really just the 84 bus that runs along here, which to its credit is at least somewhat frequent. Although back in the 90s when Line 4 was planned out, that's the Shepparrd East Stump. That consists of 5 stations from Sheppard-Yonge Station to Fairview Mall. That was supposed to go east all the way to Scarborough Town Centre, And to the west here, all the way to Sheppard-West Station where I started this walk. And that line was severely neutered due to budget cuts by the Harris government. And they also kind of tragically killed the Eglinton West subway line. So transit on Shepparrd is a very disjointed experience. There are plans on paper to extend the Shepparrd line from Yonge Street over to Sheppard-West. That's considered an unfunded project. In other words, it'll probably never happen in our lifetime. And as a whole, the street just feels very random. There's a small plaza with parking in front, right next door to a condo. There you have a detached house with a rather large vacant lot right beside it. And a newer condo. I don't mean for the tone of this video to be overly negative. But as a fan of big cities and big city living, it's hard not to see these areas as a bit of a missed opportunity. Oh, there's the 984. That is the express version of the 84. And way out in the suburbs, the newer, more modern suburbs, Stroads are typically lined with big commercial plazas with big parking lots in front and fast food chains and that sort of thing. Although we have seen some pedestrians at least. And if you're more curious about the whole Stroad phenomenon, I think I'll link to a video in the description from the rather excellent Not Just Bikes channel. And I think that video is titled, I'm trying to remember, The Ugly, Dangerous and Inefficient Stroads Found All Over Canada and the US. This is certainly a bit of a hazard for pedestrians, with a busy street where cars will be pulling in and out of a suburban style strip mall here. I'd much rather see this building right up on the sidewalk. And one byproduct with this sort of desolate design is it really discourages pedestrian and cyclist activity. And it sort of promotes car dependency, as if you don't have a car, really, how else are you going to get around? That and transit. Transit should always be an option, but so should walking and cycling. I think this is the type of road where most people who are taking their bike will plan alternate routes or just be discouraged altogether, as they would consider riding this akin to riding on a highway. And that is Faywood Boulevard. thought this plaza was kind of interesting the last time I came through here. It kind of goes down for quite a while. Yeah, it looks like there's a plan to redevelop this whole area. There's the Toronto Heschel School. There are local Domino's. Right next to what's probably a local dive bar. And this is the point where I roll my sleeves up as I realize I'm overdressed, wearing a hoodie with a long sleeve t-shirt underneath. There we go, I've got the guns exposed. The video that I published this morning, I titled Toronto's Ugliest Street, or Downtown's Ugliest Major Street, with a question mark, and that was on Jarvis Street. But really it has nothing on a lot of these streets outside of downtown. I think Steeles and Finch to the north of here could also be guilty of being referred to as Stroads. Oh, there's a hubcap just chilling in the center lane there. And it's the Filipino-Canadian Seventh-day Adventist Church. Sabbath school at 9 a.m., church service at 11 a.m. And those towers way off in the distance are at the intersection of Sheppard and Yonge. Here's an 84 bus, and that'll be coming to an end where Shepparrd comes to an end, at Easton Road. It's a hybrid electric bus. I took the 84 from Sheppard-Yonge to get over here, and every time the bus stopped, it felt like it completely cut the engine, even if it stopped for just a few seconds. I'm not sure what was up with that. I've experienced that a few times on different buses before. It's worth noting that this area hasn't always been part of the city of Toronto proper. Prior to amalgamation, it was part of North York. There's an open lot there, right next to a residential building. kind of like the design of this building. This sort of gray exposed concrete block look at the bottom could be better. It looks like they're struggling to get commercial tenants in there. There's another condo across the street. There's the Sheppard Gospel Hall. Here's a future development to be. So the next major intersection will be Bathurst. And that goes south all the way down to the lake, along the western edge of downtown. It looks like there's a 9-story condo for this side. So when all is said and done, I think a lot of these buildings are kind of just going to look like these. I guess it's an improvement. And here's something that might as well be the countryside. And this is Bryant Street on the left and Yeomans on the right. Y-E-O-M-A-N-S. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. And we have a Tim Hortons sighting, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? Signs of life. Looks to be another row of condos getting set to go in across the street there. So there's a Timmy's and a Domino's. There's a deli. You can tell we're getting close to a major intersection. I think they got to work on that sign a bit. There's a cannabis retailer, Havoc Smoke. Let's see if this taxi stays back. So we have a major intersection just up ahead. And this stretch of sidewalk is not very inviting at all. And this speaks to my earlier point about how this kind of street encourages car dependency. There's a lot of neighborhoods in Toronto where you wouldn't think twice about making a 10, 15, 20-minute walk from place to place. Plenty of visual stimulation as well as a feeling of relative safety. But in an area like this, that kind of walk, I think for most just feels kind of like a chore. And there's an astrologer and psychic in there. And a place called Your Dollar Store with More. Typically you see a Dollarama, and I think a buck or two would be kind of the secondary dollar store chain. They've got a Wimpy's in there. I think that lady might have thought I was a bit crazy. She looked over her shoulder. Who's this person talking behind me? Here's Bathurst Street. So I'm going to cross over to the south side here, I think. And just to the southeast of here, which is in that direction the camera's pointing, is Earl Bales Park. It's a very large park that even has a small ski hill. The only other ski hill in the city is Centennial Park, which is also a rather tiny ski hill. And I think both cost around $36 for a lift pass. Centennial being out in Etobicoke, and they were closed for most of the pandemic, although I think they opened up at the tail end of winter. All right, there's a bus coming. This next section is not very interesting. It's kind of a large stretch that goes over the west branch of the Don River. I'm gonna just skip it here by getting on this next bus. Then we'll hop off in the Lansing area. We're gonna have a little bus ride here. It's gonna cut out a long, kind of boring stretch. Get the view out the window as we go. This stretch here was kind of what gave me a little bit of pause about recording this one. There's a look over the valley and into Earl Bales Park. Alright, I'm gonna hop out here.
Next stop, Benmack Road.
Alright, how was that for a cheat code? That worked out nicely. Otherwise, we would have been trudging along that stretch probably for a good 10 minutes at least, with not a whole lot to see. There is a view of the valley, but it's not the greatest. And you still got to see it out of the good old TTC bus window. Talonin Chunmoon Cleaning. Something or other cleaning. The Hangul, which are the Korean characters, said. Now we head into an area known as Lansing. That was perfect timing with that bus. There's a small house with a redevelopment notice. Cantium Development and Construction. So we're not too far from Yonge and Shepparrd. It'll take you into a neighborhood known as Willowdale. There's someone behind me on a skateboard who every once in a while decides to hop on it and kind of catch up to me. Then they stop and fall behind, and then they jump back on it again. It's kind of weird. There's another 84 Sheppard bus. This time, it's an all-electric bus. I think Toronto has the largest fleet of those in North America. And this part of Sheppard-West feels a lot like Sheppard-East, just on the other side of Yonge. See a lot of the same type of developments. And homes that have been converted into businesses. There's a Korean dentist. I'm kind of tempted to cross the street because you get a better view of Yonge and Shepparrd coming up, but the next intersection isn't for quite a while. Hey, it's Psychic Elena. Helps in all problems of life. Call for a better tomorrow. You'd like to hope that that person has an excellent life themselves. I'd want to vet that psychic out, maybe take a tour of their home, find out what their idea of a good time is. Okay, let's cross the Stroad. No, this is not jaywalking, that's perfectly legal. And there is the Consulate General of Trinidad and Tobago. Just the other day, I walked by the Indonesian consulate on Jarvis Street. With Toronto being such a major city, but Ottawa being the capital of the country, we often have 2 offices for each country in this province, the embassy in Ottawa and the consulate in Toronto. And aside from official governmental affairs, I would imagine the consulates in Toronto would be a lot busier helping out citizens than in Ottawa, which is a much smaller city. And it's Goldfinger Injury Lawyers. Here's the part where you're thinking, maybe Johnny should have stayed on that bus and just taken it all the way to the subway station. There's a house for lease. I imagine developers are knocking on the doors of a lot of these property owners. It's just weird seeing a detached family house with a driveway and a front lawn backing onto such a major road. And to further make my point about the general soullessness of this area, often when I record a walk, I like to revisit those same areas at a future date. Sometimes it's just different conditions, morning or night, rain or snow, or sun. Sometimes it's just a vibrant street that you can't really ever get enough of, like Bloor Street downtown, Queen Street, Yonge Street. Where when I record a walk in those areas, I know I'll be back, and probably not in a long time. Whereas this is the type of walk that, now that I've recorded it, I'm not sure if I'll ever be back to revisit this. Maybe if there's some sort of major transit announcement or other development. But I might just say, been there, done that. You can find it via search. Maybe I'll live stream it again, but I'm not so sure I have the desire to come back, even though it's such a major road. Dentistry for children. It's kind of a neat whatchamacallit on their sign. There goes another 984B and an 84D. So at least those 84 buses are nice and frequent. what's kind of ironic is the area along Yonge Street is very developed and a very popular area to live. You know, amongst those that come to Canada to study English, a lot of university-age students and that sort of thing target this as one of their desirable neighborhoods. There's a lot to offer. It's right on the subway line. Frequent shuttle buses and TTC service can make it a bit of a pain in the ass to get downtown, especially once you go south of Sheppard-Yonge Station here. There'll be no delays. Everything will be peachy, and then the train will just crawl along to York Mill Station to the south, and then again to Lawrence, and then again to Eglinton. And it can take 30 minutes to get from here to there with no announcement of a delay or anything. I remember taking the subway north from when I lived in Koreatown and I worked up at Yonge and Finch. That was an extremely regular occurrence. Usually once you went north of Lawrence, the train would just suddenly randomly stop and start and stop, and then go at walking speed for minutes at a time. So that would be one drawback to living this far north. In theory, you're well connected to downtown, but in reality, it's not always a smooth journey. There is Albert Standing Park. I started a few different live streams from there. Ooh, I've got 20 seconds. I better move those legs. Technically, you're not supposed to start crossing during a countdown. And Beecroft runs parallel to Yonge Street. And this could be more configured as a road for moving at a higher speed between two places, whereas at Yonge, it should be narrower, ideally reduced to one lane. And be brought down to a more livable human scale, which I think is eventually the plan. Because right now, Yonge Street itself is a bit of a superhighway. There's the bus bays where I caught the 84 East. I'm going to head down to the main intersection here just to get a quick look around, and then I'll pop into the subway and head down to the southbound Line 1 platform. So we have walked from Line 1 to Line 1. Although the TTC kind of cheats in that sense by calling it all Line 1 because it just makes a U shape. I think it's one of the longer subway lines in the entire world. Just because of that. Don't quote me on that. Taco Bell has beer, $4.99 for a Bud Light. If I did not have dinner plans, I would strongly be considering popping in there. All right, here we are at Yonge and Sheppard. There's the Hallmark Center, and a look southbound Yonge. And a look to the north. So I'm going to pop into the Yonge Sheppard Center over there, which used to look a lot different than that. In fact, it used to have a movie theater until Cineplex and Famous Players merged. And they closed that down because there was already a theater just several blocks to the north at the North York Center. All right, for the second time this walk, I shall don the mask. Third time. I started it with the mask on at the station, and I put it on to get on the bus. I could really come here and make a video just on the Young Sheppard Center at some point. Okay, but down into the subway we go. This is really stupid design. Why are the arrows to go down on the left? That type of thing drives me nuts. Oh, they got it right over here. Thank you. Oh, thank you. He's a very nice person. And here you could connect to line 4, which is the 5-stop subway stump that runs along Eglinton East. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed this walk along Sheppard Avenue West, actually. Starting at Sheppard-West Station, heading east for about 4.5 kilometers or so, and finishing up here at Sheppard-Yonge Station. And with the next train due in 5 minutes, we'll get a look at this train as it rolls in. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this walk. If you wish to support the channel, there are links to my YouTube channel membership and Patreon membership in the description, as well as a PayPal link. And I also have an Instagram account. I've got a 5-minute or so wait for my train. Alright, thank you for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one.